real number, the first chapter in class 10th, and first topic is Euclid's division lemma. Before Euclid's division lemma, you should know number system. In number system, natural numbers, which all of you know, means counting numbers. Whole numbers means natural number including 0. Integers means natural number, negative of natural numbers and 0, known as integers. Prime number means a number having two distinct factors, one and itself is known as prime number. Or in other words, you can say a prime number is a natural number greater than 1 which has only two factors, 1 and the number itself. For example, 3, 7, 11. Our smallest prime number is 2. Composite number, a natural number greater than 1 which is not a prime number is called composite number. Rational number means a number which we can write in the form of P upon Q, where P and Q are co-prime and denominator means Q not equal to 0 is known as rational number. All integers are also known as rational numbers because we can write integers in the form of P upon Q, and in that case Q is equal to 1. Irrational number means number which are not rational are called irrational numbers, and combined form of both rational and irrational numbers known as real number. Now Euclid's division lemma. According to Euclid's division lemma, given positive integers a and b, it implies Euclid's division lemma is applicable on positive integers. Then second part is there exist unique integers q and r satisfying a equal to bq plus r. A equal to bq plus r, which all of you know, dividend equal to divisor into quotient plus remainder. When you have two numbers given, you can apply the Euclid's division lemma and we can write in the form of a equal to bq plus r. Value of remainder, minimum value of remainder is 0 and maximum value is less than b, means less than divisor. In Euclid's division lemma, one word used as lemma. Lemma means a proved statement which you are going to use to prove another statement. One example, if you divide 38 by 5, 5 7 ja 35, means quotient is 7 and remainder 3, means we can write 38 as 38 equal to 5 into 7 plus 3. Here 38 is dividend, 5 means divisor, 7 quotient and plus 3 means remainder. Its application, using Euclid's division lemma, we can find SCF of positive integers. If two positive integers given, you can apply following steps to find the SCF of numbers. Step first, apply Euclid's division lemma to two numbers a and b and write in the form of a equal to bq plus r. If r equal to 0, then b is known as SCF of a and b. But If remainder is not 0, again apply Euclid's division lemma to B and R. B means divisor and remainder, and continue the process till the remainder is 0. The divisor at this stage means when remainder is 0, then it is known as SCF of given numbers. Means if remainder is 0, at that step divisor is known as SCF of given numbers. For example, two numbers given 420 and 130. We want to find SCF using Euclid's division lemma. Since 420 is greater than 130, means consider A as 420 and B 130 and apply Euclid's division lemma. 420 equal to 130 into 3 plus 30, means whenever you divide 420 by 130, quotient is 3 and remainder 30. At this step remainder is not equal to 0. Again apply Euclid division lemma to divisor and remainder, means in 130 and 30. And next step you can write 130 equal to 30 into 4 plus 10. Again remainder is not equal to 0. So apply Euclid division lemma to divisor and remainder at this step, means apply Euclid division lemma to 30 and 10. You will get result as 30 equal to 10 into 3 plus 0. Now you can observe here the remainder is 0, and the step in which remainder is 0, then divisor is known as SCF of given numbers, means here divisor is 10. So 10 is known as SCF of 420 and 130. Now questions for practice. Find the SCF of 135 and 225. Second question, SCF of 867 and 255. Third question, SCF of 616 and 32. And give your answer. Now some important questions on Euclid's division lemma from exercise 1.1. Question number 2 is given in your book as positive odd integer is of the form of 6 cube plus 1, 6 cube plus 3 or 6 cube plus 5. If any number is divisible by 6, the remainder is 0. Otherwise, remainder will be 1, 2, 3, 4 or 5. Therefore, possible values of remainder is 0 to 5. So, any positive integer can be written in the form of a equal to 6 cube plus r, where r equal to 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 or 5. If a equal to 6 cube, which you can write as 2 into 3 cube, which is in the form of 2k, means even number, where k equal to 3 cube, means divisible by 2. Also 6 cube plus 1 means remainder is 1, which we can write in the form of 2k plus 1. 6 cube plus 2, which is even number, we can write in the form of 2k. 6 cube plus 3, which we can write in the form of 2k plus 1. If remainder is 4, means 6 cube plus 4 form, which we can write in the form of 2k, means even number. 6 cube plus 5, which we can write in the form of 2k plus 1, means odd number. From above, easily you can observe that 6q plus 1, 6q plus 3 and 6q plus 5 are of the form of 2k plus 1, where k is an integer. Therefore, we can say that 6q plus 1, 6q plus 3 and 6q plus 5 are not divisible by 2. Hence, any odd integer can be expressed in the form of 6q plus 1, 6q plus 3 and 6q plus 5. Now next question number 4 of exercise 1.1 is as square of any positive integer is of the form 3m or 3m plus 1. Let a equal to 3q plus r, where r equal to 0, 1 or 2. Means numbers we can write in the form of 3q plus 1 or 3q plus 2. First, if a equal to 3q, then square of 3q means 9q square, which we can write as 3 into 3q square equal to 3m, where m equal to 3q square is an integer. Second, if a equal to 3q plus 1, then square of 3q plus 1, 9q square plus 6q plus 1 equal to 3 into m plus 1, where m equal to 3q square plus 2q. Third case, if a equal to 3q plus 2, after squaring we can write this number in the form of 3m plus 1, where m equal to 3q square plus 4q plus 1 is an integer. Hence, square of any positive integer is in the form of 3m or 3m plus 1. Now next question number 5 of exercise 1.1. You have to prove cube of any positive integer is of the form of 9m, 9m plus 1 or 9m plus 8. Here again, let a as a positive integer, which we can write in the form of 3q plus r, and possible values of remainder 0, 1 or 2. Means number we can write in the form of 3q plus 1 or 3q plus 2. If a equal to 3q, then its cube we can write as 9m form, where m equal to 3q cube. Second case, if remainder is 1, means number is 3q plus 1, and cube of number 3q plus 1 whole cube, apply formula a plus b whole cube, and after solving you will get this number in the form of 9m plus 1, where m is an integer. And third case is 3q plus 2, and cube of 3q plus 2 using formula a plus b whole cube, you will get in the form of 9m plus 8, where m equal to 3q cube plus 2q square plus 4q, which is an integer. Therefore, we can write cube of any positive integer is in the form of 9m or 9m plus 1 or 9m plus 8. Now, 3 questions for your practice. You have to solve it. First question, square of any positive integer is in the form of 4q or 4q plus 1. Second, 1 and only 1 out of n, n plus 2 and n plus 4 is divisible by 3. Means number we will take as a equal to 3q plus r, and after that you have to solve it. Question number 3, cube of any positive integer of the form of 4m plus 1 or 4m plus 2. Here value of a you will take as a equal to 2q plus r. Anjali. Second topic in real number, fundamental theorem of arithmetic. We have to start this topic. Before it, you should know prime factorization. If any number is given, easily you can find the prime factors of the number. In class 9th, 8th, 7th, you have covered this topic. But as a revision again, I want to cover it. If, for example, a number is given as 1092, you have to find the prime factors of this number. To 1092 divisible by 2. If you divide by 2, you will get 546. Again, it is divisible by 2. Divide, you will get 273. Then divide by 3. Divide by 7. And last divide by 13. In this pattern, you will get prime factors of 1092 as 2, 2, 3, 7 and 13. Means 1092 equal to 2 into 2 into 3 into 7 into 13, which also you can write as 2 power 2, because 2 into 2 we can write as 2 power 2 into 3 into 7 into 13. If any number is given, in this pattern you can find prime factors of the given number. One more example. For example, if number is given as 594, you find prime factors. Again apply same process. 594 divisible by 2, you will get 297, which is divisible by 3, 99. Again divide by 3, 33. Again divide by 3, 11. 11 is also a prime number. In this pattern, we can write prime factors of 594 as 2, 3, 3, 3 and 11, which you can write as 2 into 3 power 3 into 13. Means there are 3 different prime factors, 2, 3 and 13. 3 repeated 3 times in product form, therefore you can write this as 3 power 3. So whenever you are writing prime factors, if any prime factor repeated 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, you will not write it as 3 into 3 into 3. You should write it as 3 power 3. Now, third example, because first practice is required for prime factors. Next number is 2975. Since last digit is 5, means it is divisible by 5. Divisibility rule, you should know it. Divide by 5, you will get 595. Again divide by 5, 119. Divide by 7, 17. Means in this pattern you can write 2975 equal to 5 square into 7 into 17. The 3 examples are sufficient to explain prime factors of a number, because it is revision. Already in previous classes you have covered this topic. Now, fundamental theorem of arithmetic. Statement is given in your book. Every composite number can be expressed or factorized as a product of primes, and this factorization is unique apart from the order in which prime factors occur. I have divided this whole theorem in 4 parts. First part is given as every composite number. Means you have to apply this theorem on composite numbers. I hope all of you know composite numbers. If any composite number is given, you can express as a product of primes. As previous page, you can observe number is given as 2975. Factors are 5, 5, 7 and 17. Means any number you can write as a product of prime factors. For example, 12 given. 12 you can write 4 into 3. But 4 is not a composite prime number. Therefore, 4 also you have to write as 2 into 2. Means 12 we can write as 2 into 2 into 3 or 2 power 2 into 3. So every composite number means 12 is a composite number can be factorized as a product of primes. So 12 we can write as 2 into 2 into 3. And this factorization is unique. It implies factors, prime factors of 12, 2, 2 and 3. There is no other prime factors in 12. These factors are unique. We cannot introduce any other prime factor in the factorization of 12. And apart from the order in which prime factors occur, means we can change the position of prime factors. Means 2 into 2 into 3 also we can write as 2 into 3 into 2. Or also we can write as 3 into 2 into 2. There is no importance of order in factorization of a composite number. In any order we can write. But prime factors are unique. Means again theorem is every composite number can be expressed or factorized as a product of primes, and this factorization is unique apart from the order in which prime factors occur. Using fundamental theorem of arithmetic, we can find SCF and LCM of given numbers. You have to find SCF of numbers. So first you have to write common prime factors and apply smallest power. LCM means product of greatest power of each prime factors involved in the numbers. A relationship in SCF and LCM of two numbers is given as SCF into LCM equal to product of numbers. Now example on this. Two numbers given 1092 and 594. Already prime factors we have covered. 594 we can write as 2 into 3 power 3 into 11. And 1092 equal to 2 power 2 into 3 into 7 into 13. In any order you can write prime factors. There is no importance of order. Now, since SCF you have to find, so first you check common factors in both the numbers. Common prime factor. The common prime factor in both the number is 2 present in both and 3. Then apply lowest power of common prime factor. Common prime factor is 2 and lowest power is 1. So therefore 2 into 3 is also a common prime factor and lowest power is 1. So product of prime factors applying lowest power. So 2 power 1 into 3 power 1 equal to 6. That is the SCF. LCM, you have to write all factors or all prime factors involved in the both numbers and then apply highest power. So first we note down all prime factors. All prime factors means 2, 3, 7, 11 and 13. Highest power of 2 is 2. Highest power of 3, 3. Highest power of 7, only one time used means 1. Highest power of 11 is 1 and highest power of 13 is 1. And find out, multiply these numbers, you will get LCM of given numbers. After that you can verify it, find out the product of numbers and then find out SCF into LCM. If both is same, means you can write SCF into LCM equal to product of numbers. Next question. Find the HCF and LCM of 18, 126 and 594. First you find prime factorization and find out prime factors of 18, 126 and 594. To find LCF, find out common factors. Common factors are 2 and 3. And apply the lowest power of common factor. Lowest power of 2 is 1 and lowest power of 3 is 2. Multiplication 18. The 18 is the LCF of these three numbers. LCM. First note down all factors involved in 18, 126 and 594 and apply highest power. Highest power of 2 is 1, highest power of 3 is 3, then 7 and 11. Multiply, you will get 4158. That is the LCM of given numbers. Next question. You have to check 6 power n end with digit 0 or not. If any number end with digit 0, it should be divisible by 2 and 5 both. Prime factors of 2 is 2 and 3. Prime factors of 6 power 2 we can write as 2 into 3 whole power 2, and similarly prime factorization of 6 power n equal to 2 into 3 power n or 2 power n into 3 power n. It can be observed that 5 is not a prime factorization of 6 power n. Hence, by fundamental theorem of arithmetic, 6 power n is not divisible by 5 for any value of n. Hence, 6 power n will never end with digit 0 for any natural number n. Some questions for practice. These 3 questions you have to solve and give the answer in group. First question, you have to find the HCF and LCM of given numbers and verify the result. Second question, you have to find HCF and LCM of given numbers 306, 657 and 45 using fundamental theorem of arithmetic. And third question, you have to check 5 power n end with digit 0 or not for any value of n. Next topic, irrational numbers. I hope all of you know rational number definition we have covered in previous topic. Irrational number means which we cannot write in the form of P upon Q, where P and Q are integers, or you can say P and Q are co-prime and Q not equal to 0. For example, root 3, root 5, these are known as irrational numbers. One theorem is here. Before starting questions on this topic, let P be a prime number. If P divides A square, then P divides A, where A is a positive integer. For example, if 2 divides 4 square, 16, then 2 divides 4. Or you can say if 16 is divisible by 2, then square root of 16 means 4 is also divisible by 2. Proof of this theorem is not in your syllabus. Directly questions you have to start. Now, prove that root 2 is irrational. Solution. Proper method or steps you have to remember the proof of this question. Let us assume that root 2 is a rational number such that root 2 equal to A upon B. Because rational number we can write in the form of A upon B as per definition of rational number, where A and B are co-prime and b not equal to 0. Co-prime means two numbers having no common factor except 1. If root 2 equal to a upon b, then root 2b equal to a by cross multiplication. Squaring both sides, you will get 2b square equal to a. 2b square equal to a means 2 divides a square, or you can say 2 divides a. If 2 divides a, it implies a equal to 2c for some integer c. If a equal to 2c, then a square equal to 4c square. Put the value of a square as 2b square from equation first, and you will get b square equal to 2c square. Again we can write 2 divides b square or 2 divides b. From second and third, the result you are getting as 2 is a common factor in a and b both, which contradicts the fact that a and b are co-prime. Therefore, our assumption is wrong that root 2 is rational. Hence, we conclude that root 2 is irrational number. Similarly, we have to prove root 5 is irrational. Same process apply, same steps. Root 5 equal to a upon b, root 5b equal to a, squaring both sides, 5b square equal to a square. And after solving, again you will get that a and b have the same common factor 5. Then your assumption is wrong that a and b are co-prime, means root 5 is irrational number. Similarly, also you can prove root 3. Next, if you have to prove root 5 plus 2 root 3 is irrational. In this situation, it is not required to prove root 3 as irrational. In this case, you have to assume that root 3 is irrational as a given part. Then you have to assume that 5 plus 2 root 3 rational is equal to a upon b. Transfer 5 in right side, simplify, and you can write root 3 equal to a minus 5b upon 2b. Since a and b are co-prime, it implies a minus 5b upon 2b is a rational number. And root 3 is also rational according to this, which contradicts the fact that root 3 is irrational. Hence our assumption is wrong. So we conclude that 5 plus 2 root 3 is irrational. Similarly, 1 upon root 2 to prove as irrational. Same process. Let 1 upon root 2 as rational number, means 1 upon root 2 equal to a upon b, where a and b are co-prime. Root 2 equal to b upon a. B upon a rational, and so root 2 is rational, which contradicts the fact that root 2 is irrational. Hence, 1 upon root 2 is irrational number. If any question is given based on irrational number, easily you can solve. One more question. Root 2 plus root 3 is rational, you have to prove. Again follow same process. Root 2 plus root 3 equal to a, where a is rational. In this situation, I have taken b as 1. We can write root 2 plus root 3 as a upon b. but for solving purpose, in place of a upon b, I have written as a only. It implies in this case denominator is 1. Again, root 2 equal to a minus root 3, squaring both sides, and simplify, you will get root 3 equal to a square plus 1 upon 2a. Since a is a rational number, therefore a square plus 1 upon 2 is also a rational number. Hence root 3 is rational, which contradicts the fact that root 3 is irrational. Means our assumption is wrong. Some questions for practice. Prove that root 7 is irrational. Follow the same method procedure as I have explained for root 2 or root 5. Second question, you have to prove 9 root 5 is irrational. Third question, prove that root p plus root q is irrational. Solution is same as we have explained in previous, that root 2 plus root. Now last topic of chapter 1, rational numbers and their decimal expansions. First theorem in this topic you have covered, if any rational number is given whose decimal expansion terminates. Because if any rational number given, there are two situations. It may be terminating decimal number or non-terminating and recurring decimal number. If it is a terminating decimal number, means decimal expansion terminates after 2 places, 3 places, or after some places, then we can write x in the form of p upon q, where p and q are co-prime, means there is no common factor between p and q except 1, and prime factorization of q is in the form of 2 power n into 5 power m, where n and m are non-negative integers, which you can say as whole numbers. One example is here, 3 upon 4. If you divide 3 by 4, you will get 0.75, which is terminating decimal number, or which will terminate after 2 places of decimal. Now 3 upon 4 we can write as 3 upon 2 square, or 3 upon 2 power 2 into 5 power 0, and here q in the form of 2 power n into 5 power m, where n equal to 2 and m equal to 0. Second theorem, x equal to p upon q be a rational number such that prime factorization of q of the form of 2 power n into 5 power m, where n and m are whole numbers. Then you can say x is a terminating decimal number, means x equal to 3 upon 200. Without division, we can decide it is a terminating decimal number, and after how many places after decimal it will terminate. 200 factorized using prime factorization method, we can write 3 upon 2 power 3 into 5 power 2. Here denominator is in the form of 2 power n into 5 power m, such that n equal to 3 and m equal to 2. If you simplify it, 3 upon 200 we can write as 3 upon 2 power 3 into 5 power 2. For making equal power in denominator, multiply by 5 in the numerator and denominator, you will get 15 upon 2 power 3 into 5 power 3, or 15 upon 10 power 3. In denominator, if you are getting 10 power 3, it implies it will terminate after 3 places of decimal. One thing. And directly, since power of 10 is 3, therefore we can write as 0.015. Now third theorem, again it is a rational number p upon q, but denominator means q is not of the form of 2 power n into 5 power m. Now, in this situation, you will get a non-terminating decimal number. The non-terminating decimal number, there are two situations. One is non-terminating and non-recurring. Second is non-terminating and repeating. If it is a rational number, means here you will get non-terminating and recurring decimal number. Non-terminating and non-recurring means that is irrational number, which you cannot write in the form of P upon Q. Since it is a rational number, means in decimal expansion, it will be repeating or recurring. For example, 2 upon 45 means 2 upon 3 power 2 into 5 power 1, which is not in the form of 2 power n into 5 power m. Now, if you divide it 2 by 45, you will get 0.40444 up to infinite number of times. Means 4 repeated here infinite number of times, or which you can write as 0.04 bar. Means it is a decimal expansion but non-terminating and recurring. Now some questions for practice. First question, you have to decide after how many places it will terminate. Second question, rational number is in its decimal expansion is given. You have to write prime factorization of q, and you have to write region also. Third question, without actually division, find if given number will have terminating or non-terminating, means repeating decimal expansion. Give reason for your answer.